and just believe the process. So I was following the e-GMAT one, so which is like firstly doing the modules, and it helps you with the theory, and then doing cementing quizzes which brush up your knowledge, and then doing the sectionals, so in which you identify anything which is remaining and get ready with that sectional. So that was my approach. So the main thing here is I think the mentor support is like I think it's one of the best I think things which I found in e-GMAT. So first thing is so the mentor, so you actually provided us with like a personalized setting
Right.
which I used to follow, and I used to follow and get everything done in the process. So after every quiz, you help me analyze what were my mistakes, how I can identify them, how I can like overcome that in the next attempt.
Hello, everyone. A very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another debrief session with e-GMAT. Today, we have with us Mayank, who scored a 99 percentile 715 on his recent attempt. So, welcome, Mayank, and a huge congratulations to you.
Yeah, thanks, Abba.
So, I know, Mayank, like while we were talking about it, you mentioned how happy you were seeing that score, and we will definitely deep dive into your entire journey. But before we get to that, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, sure. So I am Mayank. So I was working in JP Morgan for last 2 years, and I recently thought of like going to some business school and get a like investment banking position. So that's why I do GMAT, and yeah, I did it in like 2 attempts. In first attempt, I got 665, and in the second attempt, I got 715.
Yes, yes. Now, Amank, when we look back at your journey, the major sections that saw very incredible improvement has been your verbal and DA, right? I have your scores right here. In verbal, you went from a 67 percentile to at this point a 98th percentile, right? And a DI also a 77 percentile to a 96 percentile, which is huge and incredible jump. Right. So when you look at your verbal journey, what were the key things that you learned along the way or strategies that you started applying that made a huge difference for you?
So firstly, so verbal, there are two parts. So there is like reading comprehension and critical reasoning. In the reading comprehension, the thing was I was rushing through. I feel that like I was completing the whole verbal section in like some 35 minutes. So I have like last 10 minutes remaining. I can revise or so. But I think in that process, I was skipping some parts of the like reading or not getting the like thorough idea.
Mm,
So like after giving some sectional marks, like I have given like I think countless sectional marks, and after giving those, I got the idea where I was missing. And
right.
so in the exam, it was like it became pretty easy for me to read and understand like anything if the exam has given me. So like after so much practice, I think RC was like I was able to like understand everything in the RC, and I think that helped. I don't think again in the passage because I understood the main point. Maybe like for a detail level question, I need
Mm-hmm.
to go back and search it. But otherwise, I think I was pretty much sorted. And in the final exam, like the final GMAT attempt, I just completed the paper before 5 minutes. So I
Right.
do still have the time to revise and check back. Yeah. So
Right.
that was with the like reading comprehension. Yeah.
And what
Moving
about
to,
CR?
yeah. So for CR, the thing was, firstly, I was just doing like going through the process. I was just reading the question and thinking and reading the options. So if you just directly read the options for 5 options, it would take you around 15-20 seconds each. So it's just like waste your half of your time in just reading the answers, and you don't have any idea of what is going to be correct.
Mm-hmm.
They are pre-thinking approach games. So just when you read the question, you when you have like some options in mind, you have like you identified the linkages, the assumptions. You can direct when you're going through the options, you will get the feel like this is the option. You don't need to like go back and back again in the passes and go back to options, go back to passes. It just you can step out of that. So that's where I think pre-thinking helps us. So I
Right.
think that was my strategy for the exam.
Right. So, Mayank, I was looking into your account and I'm just going to quickly share my screen since we are talking about verbal. We see this incredible improvement in your CR cementing quizzes, right? And you followed the stage one, stage two approach where you first did the course and then the cementing. And cementing helps you, perfect the processes in time setup. Right. So while you were doing these cementing quizzes, how did they contribute to your prep?
So cementing quizzes basically it helped me identify the gaps. So
Mm-hmm.
like if in my case, I think the first gap I identified was boldface questions, and I did again the modules and do again like practice to fix that. So similarly, I go through inference questions, and I think one type of question. So I think I did like two or three kind of questions, which like cementing quizzes let me identify. Otherwise, I was like just find whole CR. There are like 7, 8 type of questions. I will do everything again. It will just waste time. So cementing identified like those key areas which I was lagging.
Right, right. Now, when you say that you identify these key areas, so let's take an example, like you mentioned about boldface. Okay, you went back and you did the boldface module. That is, you went back and bridged the conceptual gaps. After that, how did you go about perfecting that concept on practice mode?
So basically, so there is like so firstly I did try it by my incorrect questions.
Hmm.
So I have like maintaining a error log for like quite some time, and it's like for verbal, I think it's more than 100 questions in my error log, and so yeah, I just go through them first so that I am comfortable with my new concepts, and then
Right.
I do like a particular like that boldface quiz. I try to create like a custom quiz for boldface,
Mm-hmm.
or like do try to do like some official questions also from
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Right.
official questions. Yeah. So I think
Got
that
it.
helped me. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. So focus practice for that particular topic. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And talking about your DI, so in DI, how did your approach change after doing the course?
So in DI, I was so in DI, I like the modules very much, like the what e-GMAT provides. So it
Mhm.
helps you from the basics to advanced. So I work in like a financial industry. I see graphs every day, but
Right.
what to look in the graphs, it's that's what like the module says. You can go to this point. So what are the common type of questions in exams? I think the questions are of like same type. Like I mean, not say the same type, but almost like they can ask correlation. So already knew what can be, so it will not be like very hard. So
Mm.
I think the modules helped me that much. Like I really enjoyed those modules.
Right. So, what was your biggest challenge in DI? What was that one subsection that you really struggled with, and how did you go about overcoming it?
So I struggle with MSR. So
Mm.
MSR because it was like so DI I struggle with like build time. In
Mm.
MSR, if you get like 7, 8 minutes or 10 minutes, you don't have like time to finish other DI sections.
Right.
So yeah, so that's how like so what I did was again I did started specific math practice from so because DI just consists of what we had learned in verbal and in quant. So it
Right.
isn't like something new that they are testing. They
Mm-hmm.
are just the same things, but in a different way. You have instead of one, you have three passages, you have some graphs, you have some tables.
Mm.
So yeah, I started like again specific practice first with my error log. So I like removing those errors and then official questions and then specific quizzes for the MSR. So I think there are the three type way approach I did for everything which I came across. And the thing is, you help me identify all of those. I think e-GMAT helped me too much in that identify gaps.
Right, right. I think in your case, we were able to leverage the skill data to a large extent, where, whenever you took those quizzes, we used to go back, look into your performance, and then identify those specific topics and work on them. Similar to what we did in verbal, like boldface, like you mentioned.
Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Now, when we talk about quants, man, the good part was that quant was already a very solid portion for you. It was something that you were already starting at a very strong point. And this is a position where a lot of students come in with, right? Where they,
yeah.
have quants or one section very solid and they work on the other two sections. In such cases, how did you go about approaching your quants? How did you make sure that, you are maintaining that ability till the last? Because at this point, you are at a Q90, a perfect score.
So my approach here was so firstly I think you told me like I was like every week I was getting like one sectional test.
Right.
So for not I think I have given more than 15 sectional tests. So I think that makes me like gap. So every time like if like the final I got Q90, but before that I got many times 88, 85,
Hmm.
87. So they were not like my conceptual gaps. They were like suppose question is asking something different and I see something different or answer something different. So there are like various traps
Hmm.
which you need to even if you are good at one, you need to figure it out and have everything in mind. In exam, I also see like there are many trap questions in my particular attempt, and I think some of them are like I know them already, and it was like easier for me to solve it. It was just like due to the practice which I did. I
Right.
think that helped.
Right, right. Could you give us an example of the, common kind of mistakes that you would do in quant or errors or patterns that you identified? Because you mentioned in sectionals, there were times where there were slight fluctuations. Maybe because of that one question, two question wrong, you were at a Q85, right? So what were the common mistakes that you were doing in quant specifically?
So first was reading something wrong. So
Mm.
because quant is again time pressured like test for me. So even if you finish, you try to finish it everything early so that you can read one word or miss one word. And in the GMAT, if you miss one word, your whole answer will change, and that option will be there in the options, and you will get everything wrong, and the algorithm will again start giving you easy questions.
Right.
So that will change. So that is the first thing, which is like misreading. Second is answering something wrong. So if the question has supposed two variables x and y,
Mm.
and from the steps you can find x, but question will always ask y or some third variable z, which is consist of both x and y. So if you just try to solve it in 2 minutes, and if you are correct, so even if you solve it correctly, you can answer it wrong. You can answer x or y, but not x and y, like the combination of those.
Right.
They are the, I think, the major two which I struggle, and there were also like some tricky ones like divisibility ones. So when I started my preparation, so if you get like something like when the some number is divided by 5, the remainder is 3. When it is divided by 8, remainder is 2. How many numbers are there between 200 and 500? So if
Mm.
you do such kind of questions, so first you will try to attempt it like manually. You try to find out the pattern or so. But like after solving a bit of bunch of questions, you will get the trick, or like in e-GMAT, you will get like how to specifically approach it. So in
Mm.
my start time, I was taking like around 3.5 minutes for such questions, or 3 minutes at best. But after like doing everything, it just took me around like 1 minute to finish, or
Right.
one. Yeah. So in exam, my average time for most of the question was less than 1.5 minutes.
Great.
So
Great.
yeah, so I think that did help, like identifying every errors, and then like every big things and fixing them step by step.
Yes, yes. I also believe that, when you are working towards a certain goal, it is very crucial that not just learning concepts, processes, practice, but also doing that error analysis. That strategic review, I think, really pushes things further, right? Now, talking about, when you started taking the mocks, Mac, right? When you started taking the mocks, if we look into your platform also, your last few mocks were exceptionally good, well in line with what you scored right now, a 715, a 755. But you took an attempt and that did not go much as planned. And you
Yeah.
scored a 665. And the major reason why the score dropped was because of your verbal section. So, why don't you give us a little bit insights on what happened in your first attempt and what happened in verbal that, things went really off for you?
I guess again in that particular day, like after seeing the verbal, so I think that was like my first attempt, and
Hmm.
I had a lot of test anxiety. So verbal, my was my last section. I tried to finish it quickly to get my score, and such type of anxiety actually kills. And it like I wasn't able to focus on anything. I was guessing answers and
Right,
skipping and going to next one. I
right.
wasn't even understanding every passage is correct just due to anxiety. I think that test anxiety, like anxiety, that was like not a good day for me. But
Yes,
yeah, in second attempt, I know like due to, like I have given countless mocks, like yeah, like sectional mocks and like those five sigma. In
right.
those, I know I can score like a 7-1 like easily. I have like previous attempts. So yeah, in the second attempt, it was like very easy for me to get that.
Right, right. And here, I was looking into your Sigma X marks, and that's what I want to share the screen because, this is a problem that a lot of students face, But what you need to understand is that when you look back at your stats, if your stats are really indicating, like here, the last three mocks were 715, 715, and a 755 also. This was just before your 665 attempt. Right. The
Yeah.
only reason why it went slightly off for you was because what happened in verbal. It was not more of an ability issue. It was more, that panic and anxiousness took over. But I think what we did in the next, couple of days between your 665 attempt and the 715 attempt, where not just, taking more mocks, which helped you get to the right mindset. I think it trained you also that, you've done it enough times and you were able to replicate it and get to that 715. Right.
Yeah.
And so, why don't you tell us what all changes you started applying between your first attempt to your second attempt? Because I know a lot of students, sometimes everything is right, everything is going, and suddenly they have this one roadblock, and then they start questioning themselves or self doubting. And I know that there was a point when you also did, right? And now you
Yeah.
are completely on the other side. So, what was going on, and how did you make sure that this time around you were staying calm and you were focused and you gave it your best shot?
So yeah, so basically, yeah, so yeah, you said correct. Yeah, in the after the first score, I doubted myself. I was
Right.
just thinking, so should I give it, even should I give second attempt or not? But I think you have like more trust on me than myself, and you asked me to like give it a go. And like in between those, like I think I just stayed for like 20 days in
Yeah.
between those two attempts,
Right.
and between those two attempts, I try to like finalize like try to finish like every gap which is there.
Mm.
So maybe in verbal, if I am not reading it correctly, or what was the text anxiety, so I need to prepare it for that. So in exam, I was trying to be most calm as like because if you have anxiety, your score will get like very low. So
Right.
that's why. So that is the first thing. Second, in my first attempt, I feel like there are some topics
Mm.
which I was not good with.
Mm.
um like suppose in math, even math in the quant, I found one topic like simple interest, which exam has like given very hard questions to me.
Mm.
So I was like especially prepared, and in the second attempt also there was like a very hard question, which took me around more than 5 to 7 minutes.
Right.
And those like solving every question in 1.5 minutes then helps me for like a such hard question, which was like very hard. Like
Mm.
without it, I will not get Q90.
Right. Right.
Similarly, in the DI also, they were like I identify some blocks. I think again it was with MSR, and I focus especially on them to not repeat it again. And
Right.
again, I found like some new kind of data sufficiency questions in my first attempt, which
Mm.
was like I had never seen it before, which was completely new to me. The new idea was there, which I got wrong. So
Right.
I practiced especially for the DI ones. Like so that's what I did between those 15-20 days, and just try to be calm and give everything in your second attempt.
Yes, yes. Mayank, looking back at your journey, you were also part of the Last Mile Push program where I got the opportunity to work with you. So, my question is that, when you are starting off with your GMAT journey, what kind of role does having this kind of support system play?
Uh, I think so. The main thing here is I think the mentor support is like I think it's one of the best I think things which I found in e-GMAT. So first thing is so the mentor, so you actually provided us with like a personalized setting
Right.
which I used to follow, and I used to follow and get everything done in the process.
Hmm.
I should not miss, so I did not like miss anything. And after that, the thing is, so in every stage, to help me like with how to give the marks, how to what are your mistakes. So after every quiz, you help me analyze what were my mistakes,
Hmm.
how I can identify them, how I can like overcome that in the next attempt. So I think that is crucial, and I think the main thing is like after even the official attempt, you supported me with I was like self doubting myself. So I think that is the main thing, which is like last my program is the mentorship. Like I think it's one of like the few things which actually like will take every time. Yeah, if I do
Yeah.
it again.
Right, right. I think because, after your first attempt, I was so confident that in that attempt itself, you would be able to crack that 700 plus because everything, the data, everything said that you were ready. There was no doubt, right? But because it was an unfortunate day, things went a little off. So I would never have agreed for you to give up at that point. And that is why I remember our call also where we were very clear that, okay, let's, as it is, we have to take that break for that 16 days. So let's plan, let's rework on things. And I think it worked out well in our favor. Right. Matt, like talking about, your final test or your marks, a crucial thing that a lot of students want to understand is that what is the right sequence that they should be following. Right. And following the right sequence is slightly subjective based upon what are the students' strengths and how they feel about a particular section, if they want to start with that or not. So, what was the section order you followed during your mocks and your final test, and what was the reasoning behind that?
So firstly, I thought that I would start with DI
Mm.
and then verbal and then quant because I thought like DI will take most of my brain energy, so I will first finish it, then quant and then take a break and finally like after that the last section.
Right.
But when I give like some like Sigma X marks, I know that wasn't working in DI if I do mistake. Then the algorithm in the next section will give me like very easy questions, and that would not able to help. That would not help me score much.
Right.
So I think there you suggested me to start with the most easiest section, which you feel the easiest.
Yeah,
So in
something you're
my case,
comfortable with. Right.
yeah. So in my case, it was Quant, which I get like Q90 here. So and in that, so the algorithm also helps you, and in the DI also starts with a good hard question, and then I solve the DI and can get verbal. So I feel like verbal was the like toughest for me.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Understood, understood. And I think this sequence worked out well for you because you had a chance to perform so well in quants and DI. It automatically translated that your verbal also started at a good ability, and
yeah,
it gave you much more chance to score higher. Right. Now,
yeah.
when we look back at your journey, Mang, this is my last question to you. So, what would be, your key takeaways or learnings that you would like to share with the other GMAT aspirants?
I think the first will be maintain error log.
Hmm.
Without error log, you cannot succeed here. So that is the first because there are traps you need to identify, classify them, and then proceed. So that
Right.
is the one thing. And second is believe the process. So whatever process you are doing. So I was following the e-GMAT one, so which is like firstly doing the modules and it helps with the theory, and then doing cementing quizzes which brush up your knowledge, and then doing the sectionals, so in which you identify anything which is remaining and get ready with the with that sectional. So that was my approach, and I think you whatever you just like trust the process. I think that are the only two suggestions which I have.
Yes, yes, I think very rightly said, especially about the error log, because a lot of students, miss out this very important component. While they're solving a lot of questions, they are spending so much time, so much effort, but it at the end becomes difficult for them to identify those errors and patterns. But if you're doing it in a systematic way from the beginning, I think things fall into place much more easier for you. Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yes. So, on that note, Mayank, I would really like to thank you for taking our time today and joining in. And I wish you all the best for your next steps and keeping our fingers crossed for your admit emails as well. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
All the
Thanks,
best.
Am. Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks. Bye.